basically everything we've done up until this point, then place some with HTML and see how far we get. Oh, welcome. Okay, so the goal was to implement a function that takes an array and returns another array with all the values in it, but in reverse order, right? Raise your hand if you were able to implement it. Seriously? One person implemented this? Okay, and you guys, honestly. Seriously? Oh, I was going to ask this on the quiz. Oh my god. Okay. All right. So, tell me, how do I make a function?
Const.
Const, let's call it reverse. Yeah. Function, then what?
The whole.
Okay, we make the whole, and we need to give, and then we have the start and end of the function, right? What do I put in here? The names of my inputs. What should I call my input? R. Okay, or input R. There, input R. Okay, good. Now I will end up calling reverse with, say, you know, a bunch of random that. And I expect to get back the exact opposite of that, yes? Okay. So, anytime we have a list, right, it's very... Thank you. Anytime we have a list, right, it's very common that we have to loop over that list. Yes? How do I loop over this array? Okay, with a while. Tell me, how do I implement a while that loops over the array? Do you know what? Tell me this. How do I loop over every value in the array and print it to the screen? Go. I want to print every value in this array, in the input array, to the screen.
Create index.
Good. Tell me what to write.
Let index equals 0.
Okay.
Then while index is less than the length of the array. No.
Okay.
Then console log input array, then in square brackets index.
Cool. Okay, don't say anything. If I were to just run this, what would happen? No, wait, I know. Don't keep going. I know you know. But what would happen if this ran? Infinite loop. So I would infinitely try to print 0, index of 0. So I would infinitely try to print 5. But try to, it wouldn't actually print. It would just loop, and the screen would never even update. Okay? So now, I know you know, so tell me what I need to do with index. Okay, so what I need to avoid having this loop forever, I have to change something about this expression so eventually it fails, right? Eventually it has to become false. I'm not going to be changing the length of the array, so I might as well change the index. If I do index is equal to index minus 1, what will happen?
Undefined?
It will be an infinite loop, and you're right, it will try to print 0, then -1, -2, -3, etc. But it's just going to try to print undefined, but the point is, this will always be true. Because 0 is less than the length of the array, -1 is less than the length of the array, -2 is less, and we're just going to keep going forever. So how can I change this so instead index becomes closer and closer to input.length? +1. So we have the index grow until it reaches array.length, and then that's when we stop. Is that clear? Yes. Good question. So remember in this array, what's the length of this array? 3. What's the last index in this array?
2.
Is that equal to 3?
No.
It's less than 3. ինչ կլինի, S եթե պաստրվի, կլինի 0, which is less than 3, 1, which is less than 3, 2, which is less than 3, 3 չէ. Okay? 0, 1, 2. Okay. Alright, so, good. So let's run this and see what happens. 5, 3, 74, 12. Cool, 5, 3, 74, 12. Now I want to print it in the reverse order. So right now we're starting with 0 and we're going up, right? Going through the array, 0, 1, 2, 3, until we get to the last index, which is, well, 3, right? And then we get to the 4, and that's when we stop it. What can we do to go the other way?
Index equals 3 and minus make it 1, right?
Yeah, but suppose you don't know that it's 3. How do I...
Input array dot length.
Like that?
Minus 1.
Minus 1, good. So the first one would be 2. Oh, in this case it would be 3, I'm sorry. In this case it would be 3. Then what we do, what's the check? Oh wait, I don't want to freeze my browser. Hang on. Okay. What's the check?
Index minus 1. In the while loop,
Okay. As long as index is what?
index is greater than
Greater than what?
0.
Like this?
Oh. Or greater than or
Greater than
equal.
or equal to 0. Exactly. Right? Because remember, we're gonna what this means is that index, this variable here, will be set to 4. Sorry, it will be set to 3. Then we'll decrement it, so it will be 2. Then 1. Then 0. Then negative 1, and that's when it breaks. Got it? Okay, let's run it and see. Cool. 12, 74, 3, and 5. That's the opposite. So in order to create another array that is the opposite, what we do is let a new array, and then all we do is we just keep adding. Instead of printing, we just add to this array. So we add to this array, dot length should be input our index.
That length or length minus
Good question. What do you think? I want to add to the end. What will new array dot length be the first time we loop?
1? Or no, 0.
0. So at index 0, we set the first value. Then we loop, right? Then the length will be 1. So then we set it there. Remember, to put something at the end of the array, you just do that array dot length as the index. Does that make sense? Yes? Guys, I'm going to quiz you. If you don't know this, tell me. Everyone's like, yeah, no problem. Who doesn't know? Thank you. Anyone? Okay, good. If at the end of this you don't know, come to office hours. You have to know this. You have to. Okay. Good. So this will return another array, const result. And let's print the result, console.log result. Okay? Oh, why did I get undefined?
You haven't returned anything.
That's right. How do I return something?
Return?
Return something. That's good. There you go. So let me zoom, let me make this larger. There. Take that in. Hang on, let me. Okay. Look at that. Yes. Yes. In fact, here's what we will do. We will copy this code. Then we will make an HTML file using Sublime. But I don't have Sublime open. Boom. We will save this as an HTML file on my desktop. So foo.html. Okay, then we will put a debugger statement here. Save it. Then I will go to my desktop, open the foo.html I just made, open my DevTools, refresh. Okay. I will explain to you what happened in one moment. Does everyone see the debugger? Okay, let's see what happens. So I hit next, next. I'm going to go into the reverse function. So here we are in the reverse function, and as you guys can see, input R is this array containing 5374. 5374, 12. Is that part clear? Then I create a new R of empty. So new R is now an empty array. Yes? Then I create an index and I put 3 into it. Why? Because input.length minus 1 is 3. Why? Because look here. Got it? Okay. Then is 3 greater than or equal to 0? It is, right? So we go inside. Now we say the new array length is 0. So that's the same thing as saying new R index of 0 is the input array of 3. Got it? Input array of 3, that's the last index of the input array, right? So the last index of the input array, that value goes into the first index of the new array. Got it? So we have 5374, 5374, and 12. This is the old array. The indexes are 0, 1, 2, and 3. Yes? Okay. Then we have the new array. Okay? Which has index 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. The first thing we do is we copy the thing at index 3 to the thing at index 0. So we copy 12 into here. Then what we do is we decrement the index by 1. We subtract 1. Look, right there is where we decrement index. Now index is 2, right? Is index 2 greater than or equal to 0? Yes, it is. So now we take this 74, and we put it into here. 74. Then, boom, right there. See? We just added 74 to the new array. Then we decrement index again. Now it's 1. Now we copy the thing at index 1 to here. Like that. And we get a 3. There it is. You see this? That's the new array. Then we go here. Now it's 0. Now we copy this to this. Like that. And we get the 5. Yep, correct. Now index is -1. Is this true? No. So we jump out. And we return the new array containing 12, 74, 3, and 5. We do that. And now result contains that array, which we just returned. And we print it. Boom. And now if we go to the console, we can see what got printed. Yeah? Did you guys get confused with this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what confused you. Look. Where's my Chrome? Okay. Okay. Look. Const A is an array containing 5, 6, and 7. How do I add something to the end of this array, guys? We can do this. Look, we can do what is the last index, the actual index here? 2, right? So I could do this. And now if I console.log A, I'll get that. But instead of 3, I could just do a.length, right?
Sorry, why don't we have undefined when we have array 3 because we don't have it.
Als Abelation, So look, counts refers to the assignment, not to the object that it assigns. In other words, 나인, sense 점 가로만. I 허구만 점 가로. 쥐시다.
Inside you can change it.
But inside you can change it, exactly. Same thing with objects too. I can do dot notation and modify them. Do you guys see how this and this is the same? Okay, now question. How do I add another value to this array? Like that. How do I add another value to this array? Like that. Yeah. Do you see how this just means add a value to the end? Okay, so now that's what we were doing in the previous example. We were just reading off the edge, walking this way, and kept adding to the array. Yeah? Okay, let's do something a bit fun. Actually, wait, before we do something fun, one thing I want you guys to understand. There's a notion of passing by value and passing by reference. Sounds complicated, it's super simple. Look, I have a function that takes A and B, and, okay, it just takes an A, right? If I call f with a number, like a 3, and then here I change A to be a 6, hang on. Or what? There we go. What do you think D will be when I print here? Well, before, even though I'm changing something here, right? I pass 4 here, it comes out here, A, and then I change A to be 6, right? Here, when I print D, though, I still get 4. Yeah. Exactly. So what we're saying here is 4 is being passed here, but the reference of D stays the same. D does not change. We still get a 4, right? Now, skip this version. Now watch this. Suppose D was an object, or D was an array, containing 4. And here, when we get A, we don't change what A references, but we say A index of, 1 should be 5. If I print D now, what do I get? 4, 5. Okay? This is passing a reference to this array. So this A is now referring to the same array. And so when I modify the contents of A, I'm modifying this array. Yes?
If I say like A0 equals 5, will it change? Will 4 be changed?
Correct. Yes. Okay, because it's the same array. The idea is actually the same as this. Look, suppose I do let A be 5, then I do let B be A, and then I change A to be 7. What is B? It's still 5.
Because A is equal to 7 written.
Because think of it, because 7 is just a value. It's a primitive value. Whereas, look at this. Here's the difference. If I do let AA be an object that has inside of it the name of Joe, then let BB refer to AA. If I then change AA dot name to be Mike, what do you, if I console log BB dot name, what will I get? I will get Mike. The difference is this. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So in the first one, A is equal to 5, right? Then when you say B is now 5, what you're saying is B is now 5. That's what that second line says. Okay? So therefore, if I change A, I'm not going to affect the fact that B is 5. Right? That's... Now, in the second example though, AA refers to an object that has a name of Joe. When I say BB is AA, BB gets a reference to the same object. Therefore, if I say AA dot name is Mike, I've modified this to Mike. Therefore, BB is now referencing the same object whose name is now Mike.
This is basically similar to the question that I just asked. So in this case, it's referring to the object. If the object changes, the sign
Yes.
changes.
Correct. So if you were, exactly. So if this was a const, and this was a const, this could never happen. You can't do this, right? Because you're changing what A is. You can't do that if it's a const. But if this is a const, and this is a const, doing this is perfectly okay. Because you're changing the object you're referring to, not the reference itself. Jokes? Hot set gun? Go. Sorry, one second. Go.
What if the first one is let,
Yeah.
the second one is const, but not about that, about the object.
This is let.
Mhm.
That's a const, yeah.
That's a const, and then we change the value of AA to, I don't know, string or something. What will happen with BB?
Nothing. BB will stir. Okay, here's what you said. AA refers to this object. BB now refers to this object. Then you change this to be high. BB still refers to the same object. Yes? Fine. Ima BB dot name each kata.
Joe?
Waki BB, object. It's how the stringification of an object turns into its constructor. Don't worry about it. It's ugly. But anyway, that. Is that clear? Yes.
What if we, after the const BB equals to AA, we do AA equals to another object with another name?
Sure. Let's do it. Okay, now what?
And how about typing AA.name is foobar?
Yes, of course.
No, I mean, not AA is equal to another object, but AA.name equals to foobar.
You know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because string is an object about don't do that. Guess.
Does this have to do something with the order? Because BB was assigned to AA.
Yes, of course it matters. If this was up here, AA wouldn't even exist, right? So
Okay.
keep going.
And what is that line which you are highlighting on the previous one?
This one.
Yes, was after this second change of AA.
Very good question. What would happen here? Wait. Now BB refers to the same thing AA refers to. And what does AA refer to?
The object.
This object. Pause. Think of it this way. You point at a chair. When you assign to me, I point at that chair. Now you can go and point at something else later if you want. I'm still pointing at the chair. This is the same idea. BB is now pointing at whatever AA was pointing at, right? Referencing. So AA can now change. AA can now become anything we want. BB is still pointing at this object. That doesn't change. Yes?
Questions. First, can AA become from object to string, for example?
Can AA? Yeah, of course.
So if the object turns into a string, the BB will still indicate the string, even though it first
Depends on the order. If you change AA here, now what is BB? 66.
66.
Right.
And the next question is name, age, whatever they are called properties, right? So can we change those things as well? For example, then we not only change the name itself from Joe to Mike, but also from name to surname.
We can add surname. So we can do AA dot surname is there's no name. Now all that's left is surname.
We need to do the delete thing. We cannot just not write because so we can when we are not writing Joe, we're not writing like delete Joe.
Not Joe, the property.
Yeah, the property needs to be deleted in order not to write it.
Now, Joe, an object has a bunch of key value pairs. You can add a key, you can delete an existing key, and you can modify an existing key. Okay? This deletes an existing key. This creates a new key and adds bohosan to it. This modifies an existing key. Pausa. Եթե key արդեն կա, ու հղումը ստեղծում ես, դա edit-ը, դա փոխելն է։ Եթե չկա, այս օրինակում ստեղծում է։ Եթե ուզում ես ուղղակի ջնջես, ջնջի։ So create, update, delete, that's it. And you read just by doing aa.surname. So I can set this to a variable, I can console.log it, I can do whatever I want with it. So I'm going
So if you like const bb equals to AA before deleting the AA name.
Hang on. Okay, let's do. How's this?
So we modify the name first.
We've modified the name up here? Sure. So aa.name is now Mike. Okay.
And then after the bb equals to AA, we delete the name from AA.
Okay.
And then if we console log bb.name, it will still give us Mike.
What do you think?
I think it will.
So look, remember, here's what's happening. AA refers to an object that has a name of Joe. Yes? Then we change that here to Mike. So we change Joe to Mike. Right? Then we have BB reference the same object as AA. So BB now references the same object as AA. Okay? Then we delete name from AA. What is BB pointing at? The same object, which now has no name. Okay, gentlemen? Think of it this way. I'm looking at that chair. I ask you to go look at that chair. I then go and cut a leg off. You're now looking at a three-legged chair. Got it? Cool. Purish? Yes.
Could we declare a string and then assign an object?
Sure. You mean this? Let's have this be high. And then let's A, like that?
No, I mean let pi be
Let each?
AA, then pi.
What do you want me to do?
Put pi instead of AA.
Put high instead of AA?
Let pi equal, but in a string.
You mean like this?
Yeah.
No, of course not. You can't let means you're creating a variable name. A variable name cannot be a value. That's like saying your name is you. You need a name that represents you. Okay.
But what if we change BB?
Okay, hang on, let's go back. What if we change BB? So instead of AA delete, we do this? Is this your question?
Maybe.
Interesting.
And what will AA be? Will it change?
I like how you said if you delete BB, what will AA be? Yeah. Okay, look, here's what happens. BB references this object, right? So both of them are referencing the same object. Both of us are looking at that chair. I can go and cut off a leg. Or you can go cut off a leg. Either way, a leg is getting cut off and we're both looking at the same chair with one less leg. Yes? So I don't understand what your question is. It doesn't matter if you deleted AA.name or BB.name. AA and BB refer to the same object. Okay? Նույն օբյեկտն է, հիմա ինչ կարողացում sense as գալիս ու ջնջում ես, թե sense as գալիս ու ջնջում։ Նույն բանն ես ջնջում։ Քանի որ նույն բանն ես ջնջում, երկուսն էլ նույն բանն են տեսնում հետո։
How can we copy the value of the variable, not to give the reference to the other variable, but
You
the
clone an object. You want to make a copy of the object, so you don't. Okay, good. So she's asking a very basic question. Can you copy an object? Because here, if I just do hang on. This is a reference to the same object. Now, BB and AA are both referring to this object. She's asking if we can make a copy. Yes, I can tell you in office hours how to do that, but basically what you do is you create a new object, and you copy each property from here into this one. So you do something like this. This would be a copy. Now you can do this programmatically in code, so you don't. But that we can, because you need to loop over the keys, and I can tell you that later.
Isn't there the clone function here? Like I clone the letter here.
No, that Java has that stuff, but JavaScript does not have a clone function. Yes. Հիմա, նայ, հիմա AA-ը ու BB-ն ունեն երկու առանձին օբյեկտներ. They are not the same. Այսինքն BB name-ը եթե ես փոխեմ, AA name-ը մնում է. You guys see it, understand the difference between this and this, right? The difference between that and that. Anyone does not? Okay, good. Okay, let's have some fun.
Can I ask something?
You may.
Can't you please translate that A is an assembly? Object name Joe, հետո it const DB հավասար է AA, հետո ասում են AA հավասար է Joe name Mike.
Հետո ասում ենք AA.name AA-ը հավասար է Սևավոր փակագիծը որն է? Sorry, nonsense. What do you think happens?
Joe.
AA is referring to this object. At this line, BB is referring to this object, right? Then I change AA to refer to this object. Which object is BB still referring to?
Joe.
This object. So, therefore, therefore BB still refers to name Joe.
You just said that here is the same as like it's
Nine. S voilà. Nine. Does anyone? I'll wash my hands. Okay. All right. Here's what's happening here. Forget this. This does not matter. Here's what's happening. AA refers to an object whose name is Joe. Then BB refers to AA. So BB refers to this object. Right? So at this line here, AA and BB are referring to the same object. With me? Okay. Then here, we change what AA refers to. So we say this now refers to another object that has a name of Mike. BB still refers to this. Each?
What's the difference in syntax when we're not changing the object itself, we're just changing the things in our video? What's the difference in the syntax when
Jokes? How are we doing? Are we going to be okay on the quiz? No. Okay.
BB is Joe.
Will come to.
BB will be Joe, yeah. I just showed you. That's a BB, that's the AA hopefully step, like BB will come step. Rocket science. All right. We okay? Yeah. If you're not okay, come to office hours. My office hours are right after this class. Okay. Let's do some HTML stuff. By the way, quick thing. If I do this, and then here I do const L is document.get element by ID main.
And null?
What will I get for L?
Undefined.
Why? Or null, actually. Don't worry. Just null is like it's like an empty value. Because code executes top down. So here, when I try to get an element, the element hasn't even been created yet. Therefore, what I need to do is put the script underneath HTML, which is why most applications you will see, you'll notice that the script code, the JavaScript, is at the bottom of the body. It's at the very end. It's the last thing that happens in the body, after all the HTML. For this reason. Okay, so what is L now? It's this div, right? Cool. So now let me create a function, const render person, friend. Function which takes an object, and that object, hang on, so it's on, there you go. And that object represents a friend. And let's have this object return some HTML. So return a div. Okay. Inside of this div, I want to render the person's name. So I'll do obj.name. There you go. Okay. So then I have a loose list of friends, const friends. And who are my friends? I have name Aram.
Another name Aram.
Another name Aram. It's true, there are three of them, right? Yeah, let me copy this. Aram 2.0.
And Aram post
Aram
birthdays
3.0.
today.
Huh?
And Aram post birthdays
Oh. Aram birthday boy. Cool. Okay, so what I want to do is loop over friends, and for each friend generate the HTML. I then want to stick all that HTML together into one big string and set that inside of this div. I will say that one more time. I want to loop over my friends. For each friend, I want it to get some HTML. I want to stick those HTMLs together and then put all of that HTML inside of this div. Right in here. In here. In here. Okay? Here's how I do that. I need to loop over my friends. Friends is an array. How do I loop over an array? With a while loop, so help me. I create some variable, let x is 0, while x is less than,
Array length. Friend.
okay, so friends.length. Okay, hang on, I don't want an infinite loop, 1 second. Okay, how many times will this loop if I have 3 friends? 3 times, 0, 1, and 2. And the third one, it's going to break. So here I do friends, friends, x, okay. And then I want to call this function with that friend. This will return some HTML, right? This HTML will be returned when I call render friend. Hang on, let me do this. There you go. Is that clear? Now, HTML is a string, so I want to stick all these strings, all the HTML strings together. So here's what I do. Let big HTML be an empty string, and what I want to do is keep adding to big HTML. is equal big HTML plus HTML. So what will happen? Big HTML initially empty. Then I will add the first thing that is returned by render friend. Then I will add the next thing that is returned by render friend and the next thing. And I will have a big string. Let's just print this string. Console log. Oh, right, because it's HTML. Hang on. There you go. Do you guys see this? Can you see this? I don't know. Hang on. There you go. That's the string. So I took this one, concatenated with this one. Oops, sorry. Concatenated with this one, and then concatenated all of that with that one. Now that I have that string, I'm going to set that as the inner HTML of my div, of my element. L.innerHTML is big HTML. Boom. Voila. Does everyone understand how I did this? No? Oh, no problem. Look, let's debug. So I save that, I put a debugger statement here. Save that, go here, double click. No. Open DevTools, refresh, here it is. Hang on. Momento. Okay, so let's start. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the document, which is this object that gives me access to the DOM, to the HTML tree. I'm going to do .getElementById. What is getElementById? It's a function, which I call and I pass in a string as an argument. Is that clear? We know objects, we know dot notation, we understand that. So belonging to this, to document, is an attribute or a property called getElementById, whose value is a function. When I do document.getElementById, it gives me a function. I then call it, passing in main as a string as an argument. Is that clear? Okay, that function is going to go into the HTML and find the element whose ID matches the string I gave. And look, there it is. Here, I gave it ID main, right? So it returns a reference to this object. To this. So then I hit next, and now L is that div. It's this. With me so far? Okay. Then I create a function whose job it is to take an object, extract the name, and then concatenate it into these divs to make a string and return that string. Anything complicated about this function? ինքը JavaScript-ա, JavaScript-ը չգիտի HTML-ը ինչ է։ Հասկացա՞ց, չէ՞։ Եթե HTML դրես JavaScript-ի մեջ error կտա։ Դիտակ իրան վարվում ենք որպես սովորական տեքստ։ Div-ը element-ա։ Div-ը իրականում բանը մի ամբողջ տող է վերցնում, որ իրար տակ լինի, եթե div-եր չանենք, նայեք։ Եթե div-եր չանենք, եկեք div-երը հանենք։ Sense good. Yeah. No sense. Ամեն div-ը մի ամբողջ տող է վերցնում, էլի։ Okay? Okay, so back to this. Anything else that might be confusing about this function? We understand it, right? Okay, easy, fine. So we create that function. Then we create an array of objects where each object has a name. Anything complicated about that? We're good. Okay, so we do that. Then we create a variable called big HTML and we initially assign it to an empty string. We create an x and give it a 0. Is x less than the length of my friends? The number of friends I have. How many friends do I have? I have 3 friends. And x is 0, therefore it's true. So let's go in. So x is 0, So what is friends 0? That's this object here, right? The first object. Okay, so I pass this first object, hang on, this first object as an argument to render friends. Let's go inside. So here's the object, and it has a name of Aram. So we return this string. So HTML is now that. Okay so far? Okay. Then what we do is we do big HTML plus HTML. If we do plus and we have strings, what happens? Concatenation. So if big HTML is empty string and HTML is this, what's the result? The same. So now big HTML is that. Yes? That's easy. We increment x by 1. We increase the value of x by 1. So now x becomes 1. Is 1 less than friends.length? Yes. So we go in here. Now we do friends where x is 1. Which object would that be? The second one, this one. Right? Okay, so let's go inside. That's the object, that's the name. So we return the concatenation of that with divs, and now HTML is this. We then take big HTML, which contains the original Aram string, and we concatenate it with this new one. And the result is big HTML that has the 2 divs inside. Կապցնում ենք այդ տեքստերը իրար։ Սենց կապցնում ենք իրար։ Հետո այդ սա վերցնում ենք, կցում ենք inner HTML։ Հետո հաջորդը։ Next one. Now we have this. We add that. Now big HTML is all the divs combined. We increase x. X is now mouse over. Come on. 3. Is 3 less than friends.length? No, because friends.length is 3. So we jump out, and big HTML is now this. We set this element's inner HTML, the divs inside HTML, to this. And that's how we get that. Okay so far? Did that make sense how it worked? Chad? Do this also. Shit. Okay. Okay, one master. Haja. Նայ։ Okay. Եկեք սենց անենք։ Եկեք այս ամեն ինչը չանենք։ SL-ը SL-ն է, չէ՞։ L.inner HTML is այդքանը պարզա ոնց է աշխատում։ Այդ նույնն է ոնց որ IS վերցնեմ ու դնեմ այս div-ի մեջ։ Inner HTML, ներքին HTML։ Պարզա, չէ՞։ Okay, հիմա սպասի։ Գիտես։ Հիմա դա նույնն է ինչպես որ ես հիմա սրա մեջ կարող եմ element-ներ դնեմ, չէ՞։ Այս էլ է, չէ՞, պարզ։ Okay, հիմա սպասի։ Տեսնում ես, որ սա նույնն է ինչպես որ սա։ Համաձայն ես։ Սա և սա նույնն են։ Այո, 100%։ Լավ։ Հիմա լավավայի տեղը եկեք գնենք Aram և Aram 2։ Okay։ Հիմա եկեք այս բանը ստանանք function call-ից։ Actually, let's take this, let's have it return string, return, այս նույն բանը վերցնում եմ, ստեղից։ Merci։ Այս արամի տեղը վերադասնում եմ տրված string-ը։ Այսինքն ստեղ S կանչում եմ F։ Ստեղ կանչում եմ տեսնում ես, որ սայլապ է։ We're writing a bunch of divs inside. Yeah. This, if you inspect, hang on. Yeah, it's in the main div. Look. This is the main div, and inside we have 3 divs. Yeah. Այսքանը պարզ է, ժողովուրդ ջան։ Okay, եթե պարզ է, ինչ տարբերություն string-ը, թե object-ը։ Ստեղ object-ը տալիս, object-ի անունը վերցնում։ Ստեղ ոչ թե արամ են տալիս, այլ object-ը տալիս, ում անունը արամ։ Սա պարզ է։ Yes. Հա, hello object-ը, հա։ Ճիշտ է, attribute-ը, այո, ճիշտ։ Հաջան։ Առաջին string-ը HTML-ի, որտեղ չէ։ S S-րայդես։ Հա, փոխում ենք իրան։ Այդ նույնն այն, S նույնն այն, ինչպես որ դու սենց անես։ Չէ՞։ Okay, հիմա HTML-ը հղում է այս նոր ինվորմացիային։ Այս հին ինվորմացիան որում է։ Էլ չկա։ Նույնն այն, ինչպես որ սա անես, ջան, նայեք։ Նույնն այն, ինչպես որ դու անես սենց։ Երեքին դա ինչ է։ Հորա որ ինչ է։ 7-ը չկա, հիմա 3-ը չկա է, հիմա 7-ը։ Չէ՞։ Մի րոպե։ Երբ որ կոնսոլը որտեղ է։ S դադարը չէ, սկզբից։ Իրա արժեքը դադակ տեքստը։ Ստեղ ես իրա արժեքը վերցնում եմ, կարդում եմ, որը դադակ է, կպցնում եմ սրա հետ ու իրա արժեքը փոխում եմ ու դարձնում եմ սրա արժեքը։ Չէ՞։ Հետո էլի ես այդ հիմիկվա արդյունքը վերցնում եմ, գումարում եմ S արդյունքին ու լրիվ նոր արդյունք եմ ստանում։ Այսինքն S բանը HTML-ը ունի այդ ամենավերջին արդյունքը։ Մնացած արդյունքները, որոնք որ եղել են ժամանակին, այլևս չկան։ Okay? Այո։ Empty string-ը բայց տեղ չունի։ Եթե empty string concatenate անես full bar, միայն կստանաս full bar, որտեղ empty string-ը տեղ character չի։ Ինքը բարեգորի մասում դաժան։ Ոչ թե հասկացա, չէ՞։ Okay, anything, but okay, I could have this be something else. I could have this be H1. Here is my list. Miropa, HTML. Miropa. The German sense starts. Okay? But here's my list. You can concatenate on them and Manassas dividing it. But then it's HTML. You get it? I have this HTML. I then concatenate this HTML. And then I concatenate this HTML. So I'm left with this string. just a string. Yeah? Okay. Questions? Հարցուն եք ասել։ Ահա։ Այս սաղ կոդը կարող ես վերցնել, սաղ։ Տնես ուրիշ ֆայլի մեջ ու ընդհանրապես ստեղ src հղում 10 այդ ֆայլին ինքը նույն բանը ստացվում։ Եթե հետ եք գործում։ Հա, okay, okay, okay։ Այս սրանց հետ ես։ Այս սրան։ Հա։ Չակերտները HTML-ով գրեք։ Այս եթե հիմա ստեղ գրես հենց։ Սա այդ ես։ Կնես չեմ հասկանում հարցը։ Guys, forget HTML. String ոնց են սարքում։ Sense, չէ՞։ Եթե ես ուզենամ գրեմ ստեղ ինչ որ մեկի անուն, այս օբյեկտի անուն ազգանունը, ոնց եմ գրում։ Ինչ որ sense բան, չէ՞։ Okay։ Այս սա ընդհանրապես տեքստ է։ Հիմա ես ինչ եմ ասում։ Տեքստով ստեղծի HTML։ Այս նախադասությունը իր մեջ դիր մի քիչ HTML։ Հասկացա՞ր։ Տեքստը սովորական string-ը, մոռացի HTML, string-ը, որի մեջ դու կարող ես, եթե ուզում ես HTML գրես։ Եթե այդ HTML-ը, բայց դնես inner HTML ինչ-որ element-ի, browser-ը իրան կվերածի իսկական HTML դոմին ու կկցի էկրանի վրա։ Պարզ այդ կայլը։ Okay, take out a piece of paper and a pen and write the factorial function. We've done it before, let's see if you can do it now. Quiz yourself. Could you write the factorial function? Go for it. Factorial of 5 is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times. You don't have to do times 1. You can if you want. Execution engine yapacağız. Çıkarmayacağım C++. No, V8'de C++ bakıyoruz. Guys, focus on the syntax. When in the quiz, if I ask you to write the code, even if the code is correct, if there are syntax errors, like you don't have the parentheses, you don't have the curly braces, we start taking points off. So every detail counts. Make sure you write it correctly. Raise your hand if you need more time. Okay. Okay, anyone else need time? Okay, last minute. Okay, come on, let's do this. Tell me, how do I write this function?
Okay.
Parentheses. Curly braces.
Result.
Huh? B1? Is that what you said? No.
Greater than or greater.
Okay, let's see where you're going with this. Keep going.
But if it multiplies by 0, the result will be 0.
That's why we're not saying equal. Hey, keep going, keep going.
B is equal to B times now.
Okay, and then?
Now is now minus 1. The return.
How will we look? Will this work? Num is bigger than 1. Okay, if it's bigger than 0, that means it can never, this code will never run with 0, right? So the last number that we will multiply by, if we start, let's say num was, you know what, let's put it in debugger.